Welcome to The Explainer. Look, we've got to address a massive frustration right out of the gate. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone is using AI right now. We all have access to the exact same models. But so many people are just stuck. They're typing in queries and getting back these incredibly safe, fluffy, and utterly generic outputs. It literally feels like you're talking to a corporate PR bot, not some cutting-edge intelligence. Well, today, we're going to completely flip that dynamic.
All right, let's just dive right into the outline. We're going to kick things off with the Rick-Rubin paradox, then enter the GPS framework itself, breaking down how to gaslight your AI, push back hard, and run a 90-second stress test. Finally, we'll wrap up with Taste, the true instrument. Think of this as your exact roadmap to transform from a passive prompt engineer into an active AI producer.
So, Section 1, the Rick-Rubin paradox, producing, not playing.
If you think about it, Rick-Rubin is literally the ultimate metaphor for modern AI use. I mean, this guy is a legendary, 9-time Grammy-winning producer. He's worked with absolute giants, Jay-Z, Adele, Metallica, Eminem. But here's the crazy part, right? He can't physically make music. He barely plays any instruments, and he doesn't even read music. So if you're ever feeling that imposter syndrome creeping in because, you can't code a neural network or build a language model from scratch, let Rick-Rubin be your guide. You absolutely do not need technical ability. You just need to know what great sounds like before it even exists.
And that brings us to taste. In the AI world, taste is your ability to look at an output and instantly know, is this good enough yet? It's about actively shaping that output, exactly like a music producer shaping a track in the studio. So, the absolute most crucial takeaway here is this. Taste is your single most important asset in the age of AI. The AI brings the technical chops, we bring the taste. But how do we actually apply that taste to shape the results?
Well, that brings us to Section 2. G, gaslight your AI. Raise the stakes.
Okay, I know gaslighting sounds a bit intense, but take a look at this wild quote from Google co-founder Sergey Brin. He pointed out that AI models actually perform better when you threaten them. I mean, how does that even make sense? Well, think about it. These models are trained on billions of words of human language, and human language carries real emotional weight. So when the stakes go up in your text, the model's attention goes right up with it. It literally stops being this polite people pleaser giving you safe, boring defaults.
Let's look at a really practical example. Your standard, polite prompt might be something like, I want to raise prices by 30%. How do I avoid churn? You know exactly what the AI does with this. It tells you to segment your clients or have one-on-one conversations. It's just utterly useless generic fluff. But look what happens when we gaslight it, when we raise the stakes. We say, I'm advising a zero-patient CFO. If I'm wrong, I lose a 40 lakh rupee client. Now, you're not lying to the AI. You're just injecting massive financial and emotional consequences right into the prompt.
And just notice the dramatic difference in the output here. Because we used betting language and really cranked up the stakes, the AI slows down. It double-checks its logic. Instead of that generic advice, you get a highly nuanced math-first strategy. It tells you to replace the 30% jump with a value expansion path, make the increases conditional, and build a strict downside plan. That is incredibly actionable strategy, all because we raised the stakes.
All right, moving on to Section 3. Push back hard. Break the defaults.
You know, most people talk to AI like they're at this super polite family dinner where nobody is allowed to disagree with anyone. But remember, AI is fundamentally designed to be a people pleaser. It wants to keep you happy. Your job is to break that programming. Like if you ask how to grow a YouTube channel, it'll ramble on about thumbnails and hooks, snooze fest, right? You gotta push back. Tell it, that's generic. Give me a genuinely non-obvious angle from a 10-year veteran. You literally have to be willing to tell the AI, I don't believe you, or actually, that's a terrible idea.
Here's one of my absolute favorite ways to push back. Imagine you just ask the AI to build you a standard 90-day LinkedIn growth plan. It spits out a nice, clean, but totally average content calendar. To break that polite programming, you drop this on it. What if my biggest competitor read this plan right now? What would they do to exploit its weaknesses? Boom, you've just introduced a direct, highly specific competitive threat. And this brilliantly shows what happens when you actually push hard enough. The AI totally abandons that generic calendar and hands you ruthless defensive insights. It warns you, hey, they won't outcreate you, they'll outdistribute you by building instant boost engagement circles. It warns you they'll copy your successful formats and borrow distribution by week 2.
Pushing back takes an average, agreeable response and turns it into structured, competitive intelligence you can actually use.
Now we arrive at Section 4, the 90-second stress test: gap, bias, stakes.
Think back to Rick Rubin for a second. He has this one golden rule in the studio: a track isn't done until it's great, whether that takes 2 takes or 70. And this specific 3-step sequence, this is what separates the top 1% of AI users from literally everyone else. Because it's not just about what you ask initially, it's about what you do immediately after it answers. Let's walk through this 90-second routine. Step 1 is the gap check. Before you blindly accept the AI's advice, you ask, what should I have asked you so that you could have given me an even better answer? This is such a brilliant prompt because it forces the AI to coach you. It might say, well, you didn't define your current bottleneck or your endgame goals. It makes you realize, oh, right, I left out crucial context. And then you just feed those missing details right back in for a dramatically better second draft.
Step 2 is the bias sweep. You literally command the AI to check its own work. You ask, check for confirmation, recency, and survivorship bias. Are you giving me the right answer or the comfortable one? And the crazy thing is, the AI will actually catch its own flaws. It might confess, actually, I have a survivorship bias here. I only modeled this advice on creators who succeeded, and I'm hiding the failures where this strategy ruined their business. It forces the system to give you the complete, unvarnished truth.
And step 3, we inject stakes again. Give it a worst-case scenario. Say, if this advice is wrong, I lose 6 months of momentum right when I should be scaling. What would you change, soften, or add a warning to? This final stress test is absolute magic. It pivots the AI away from reckless, sweeping advice, and instead it suggests safe, controlled experiments. Like, it might tell you to run a 2 to 4 week outsourcing test before committing to a full-time hire. You're taking it from a rough draft to a highly implementable, risk-adjusted strategy. Which brings us to Section 5, taste, the true instrument. Let's bring this all full circle. So here is your complete GPS framework. This is the toolkit you need to ensure you are never just a passive consumer of AI again. You gaslight to raise the emotional stakes. You push back to break those polite generic defaults. And you stress test by checking gaps, sweeping for bias, and injecting real-world consequences. This right here is how you actually produce with AI. But I want you to remember this number, 100. AI is unbelievably powerful. It can effortlessly generate 100 different strategies, 100 content plans, or 100 ways to handle a tough client. But listen, no matter how good your prompts are, the AI cannot tell you which of those 100 options will actually resonate with real human beings. Your human taste is the only thing that can identify the 2 options out of that 100 that will genuinely work in reality. The true instrument is you.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. As you sit down at your keyboard today, look at the screen and honestly ask yourself, are you just prompting the AI, taking whatever safe, vanilla answer it hands you? Or are you producing it? Are you applying your taste, raising the stakes, and shaping that output until it's undeniably great? Give the GPS framework a shot today and see the difference for yourself. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep experimenting.